Saint Augustine, Bishop of Hippo, was born 354 AD in North Africa. Saint Augustine was a leader in the church and in education. Saint Augustine himself was educated in rhetoric and went on to teach rhetoric in Carthage and Rome before accepting a position in the imperial court as professor of rhetoric in Milan. When Augustine converted to Christianity, however, he resigned from his position of teaching with the imperial court. He devoted his life to the church. His gifting as a teacher continued to be utilized in teaching in the church. Augustine continued to reflect on what it meant to be a teacher, and as he did so, his understanding deepened and broadened. Augustine was also a prolific writer, and 3 of his books focused specifically on teaching: The Teacher, Christian Teaching, and The Initial Teaching of Beginners. In Augustine's written works, we can glean his thoughts on what education should consist of. First of all, Augustine believed that the teacher-learner relationship was of utmost importance. Having a positive relationship and respect for the learner will lead to an excitement about learning. Creating a positive learning environment is a step in keeping learning exciting and engaging. St. Augustine also encouraged educators to get to know their students and to customize the class for them. According to St. Augustine, teachers need to understand student fears and help them to overcome these fears. Teachers should create a safe space for students to ask questions and have a discussion without fear of criticism. Teachers should help students to stay engaged in learning by using humor or shock when appropriate. Teachers should connect what is being taught to the learner's own experience. By doing so, the learner will tend to place greater importance on what is being taught. Augustine also instructs that teachers should find joy in making their field simpler. In making it simpler, it makes it easier for students to learn, and then we can find joy in seeing our students learn. Augustine also strongly believed that being able to write and to speak publicly were important skills and worth learning. He viewed knowledge as a process of gathering information through reading or listening to knowledgeable speakers, which he called reasoning. And in the process of examining this information and forming conclusions, he called this knowledge. In order to teach in an Augustinian manner also means that education should consist of times and places for contemplation, which also means silence. In letting go of self and spending time listening in silence, both the teacher and the learner are awakened to what is good, truthful, and beautiful. In doing my research on St. Augustine, I looked at Confessions of St. Augustine and 2 articles from the Liberty Library: Angelo Carfana's Augustine and the Liberal Arts, and Eric Kenyon's Socrates, Augustine, and Paul Ginion on the reciprocity between speech and silence in education. In both of the articles, one criticism I did find was that Augustine's philosophy of teaching is highly Christological in nature, which in today's society they might find laughable. One criticism that I personally had of Augustine's thoughts on education was his thought on customizing the class based on the students' interests. In modern education, teachers are generally working with anywhere from 20 to 30 students in one classroom. To try to customize the teaching or the lessons to each and every student is almost impossible because students come from such a wide variety of backgrounds and background knowledge and their differing abilities. It does make it very difficult. I do, however, think there are times when a specific assignment can be geared towards students' individual interests. For example, a writing assignment where the student gets to pick the general topic of which they're writing about, and then the teacher will have expectations as to how it will be written and what sort of formatting and things like that. which will allow the teacher to get a greater product out of the student because they're writing about something they enjoy or are interested in. But if we tried to do this for every moment of the school day, the teachers would be exhausted. It would also lead to chaos, and I think that most learners would have a difficult time learning anything. Overall, I thought Augustine's thoughts on education were very profitable, and I hope that I learned quite a bit from them. I hope that in this short presentation you have also learned something of Augustine's educational theories. Thank you.